We'll stop the. Have you also taken Prasad? Hare Krishna Prabhu? Lunch? Oh, okay, okay.
I'll have it after.
Yes, yeah. I also haven't taken. I'll also be taking later. Okay, so I hope the screen is visible to Tarun. Tarun Prabhu, hope you are able to see the screen. Use this term. Yes, yeah. So we will recap last session and move on with today's session. Actually, the session for the topic for our last session wasn't complete. We will complete that with some amazing case studies and then we will move on. Hmm? Maybe we can close that door also. No? Okay, so yeah, just a brief recap of some of the previous topics also. We saw how we are the Atma and we but covered by two types of bodies, subtle body and gross body. Hmm? And then our existence can be compared to a chariot where yeah, the horses are the senses, this rope is like the mind, then this is the intelligence. And who's the passenger?
Atma.
The Atma, the soul. Hmm? But currently, our lower self is controlling the higher self. But equipped with Bhagavad Gita wisdom, our higher self can control the lower self. That transformation is possible. Hmm? Then, our fourth session was about modes and modes. So, yeah, the three modes of material nature, they affect our modes. And what all can be classified under the three modes? Yeah, what are the three modes, by the way?
Sattva.
Sattva, anyone else? Rajas and Tamas. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So, all inputs of this world can be classified into these three modes: Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. We may all have heard of Sattvic food, right? Sattvic ahar. Similarly, there's Sattvic music also. There's Sattvic company, Sattvic friendship. There's Sattvic environment, office environment could be Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. So, yes, all inputs around can be classified into these three modes, or it could be a mixture of the three modes. So, the inputs go in and they affect our consciousness. They put our consciousness into a state of being, which can also be in the three modes. And then what comes out of us, our behavior, can also be in three modes. And in this connection, what we can remember? Gulab jamun balls, right? Yeah. Gulab jamuns, when they are just fried and taken out, all look similar. But imagine there are three containers with three types of syrups, three colors of syrups, blue, yellow, red. And we dip some gulab jamuns in each one of them. And then when the gulab jamuns are taken out after some time, and we say squeeze one of the gulab jamuns, which was say taken out of the blue container, what do you think it will ooze out? It will give out the blue colored syrup. Yes. Similarly, when we take in either sattvic, rajasic, tamasic inputs, our consciousness also goes in that state. And then what comes out of us is also of similar nature. Say somebody watches too many movies of violence. What do you think could happen potentially? It will go in and
Will become.
could come out in the behavior also. Yes. So what inputs we take in are very, very important. It begins with food and the sound vibrations we hear. And then is Sattva Gun the highest mode, or is there something a higher reality than the Sattva Gun also? Or is this the ultimate reality? The ultimate goal?
More about the Sattva Gun, that is Nitya Sattva.
Nitya Sattva or Shuddha Sattva. And that is the spiritual mode. Welcome, Lokesh. So Nitya Sattva or Shuddha Sattva is higher than the mode of goodness also. The mode of goodness is a material mode. Good people, there are good people in this world who may not be spiritual, but they are good just because of their contact with the mode of goodness, with Sattva Gun. All the inputs they may be taking in life may be Sattvic. They may not necessarily be spiritual. So we saw that mode of goodness is not the goal, but Nitya Sattva or Shuddha Sattva is the goal. And Lord Krishna himself says so. Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmanam. Bhagavad Gita 2.45. So, yes. So Sattva Gun is like a smooth runway that can help an airplane take off. Whereas Rajogun may be like a regular road with multiple potholes and all. It's difficult for a plane to take off from them. Tamogun means like no road at all. But now, is the goal of the airplane just to stay on the runway smooth? The runway on the airport? No, the goal is to take off. Similarly, the goal of our existence is not just to stay in Sattva, but to take off. Take off to Shuddha Sattva or Nitya Sattva, which is our original spiritual position. We are not meant to stay in this cycle of birth and death. As long as we are attached even to Sattva Gun, we do end up staying in the cycle of birth and death. We may get nice things in this world, but even the Sattva Gun is compared to shackles or chains, albeit golden chains. Rajogun, Tamogun, this may be iron chains, and Tamogun may be very rusted iron chains. But still, all are chains. All of them keep us trapped in this world. But however, to function in this world, Sattva Gun is considered the best. So at all costs, wherever we are, we try to keep our inputs sattvic. And if we can spiritualize them, that's the best thing. So sattvic ahar is better than rajasic and tamasic ahar, but prasad is better than sattvic ahar. Prasad, which is offered to God, it is on a higher platform. It is spiritualized. So the mode of goodness is also material. Okay. Now, yeah, we saw Sattva Gun is goodness, where the characteristics are happy. One may be happy, balanced, and knowledgeable. In Rajogun, one is restless, overexerted, workaholic, or impulsive. And in Tamas, one is helpless, inactive, destructive, or mad. So these are characteristics of Tamogun. Now next. Yeah. So, yeah, this is the recap of the older sessions. Now, yeah, last session was about karma, where the regular understanding of karma is what we do comes back to us. So karma, the word karma could apply even to the actions we perform, and the reactions we get could also be called karma. And then, yeah, we saw some case studies where we saw how karma may not make sense if we only restrict our vision to one lifetime. But when we expand our vision to multiple lives, then karma begins to make sense. Sometimes some reactions may take time to come. Like, does someone remember whose example we saw? Dhritarashtra, yeah. One hunter, he killed there was a bird couple who had around 100 children. So one hunter killed all 100 children in a sportive spirit, just to have some fun, and blinded the parents. So now this hunter, he uh, after 50 lifetimes, he was born as a king who had 100 sons who were killed in a battle, and he was blind, and his queen was also blind, or rather blindfolded voluntarily. Who was this king? Dhritarashtra, the father of Kauravas. Now, why after 50 lifetimes did he get this karma? The simple answer is it took him to, for even one healthy son to be born, it takes some good karma, punya. So to come to that stage where 100 healthy sons would be born to him, took him 50 lifetimes. So karmic reactions can come in future lives also. So naturally, what we are receiving in this life, a lot of those things could be coming from our past lives. So somebody who sees only from the perspective of one lifetime may get bewildered by the intricacies of the life. But when we broaden our vision to multiple lives, then we begin to appreciate it. And then, yeah, but why don't we remember what good things we did for which we are being rewarded, or what bad things we did for which we may be being penalized right now? That question also we covered. And yeah, we'll come to the answer for that. Then we saw some verses from Bhagavad Gita to see how the soul is indestructible. I hope it's visible to everyone. Feel free to come closer if you're unable to see the slides. And yeah, we saw a few verses from the Bhagavad Gita. Well, the soul is indestructible, about the indestructible nature of the soul. So it's something like this. When we have some, many of you may have used credit cards. So in credit card, we get credit card history, right? And if 1 month's balance is not all paid off, that history rolls over to the next month. It's not that, oh, if the full balance is not paid off, then yeah, done. Then history wiped out. Next month, new history begins. No, the history continues. Similarly, our karmic history, our karmic baggage goes with us to our next lives. And the Atma is, yeah, the existence of the Atma is beyond time, beyond birth and death. So as long as the Atma is in the cycle of the birth and death, the Atma goes through experiences, karma. So we saw some verses from the Bhagavad Gita. Then we saw mechanics of transmigration. But how does the Atma take a new body? In this connection, we saw a few beautiful verses from the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Yeah, we saw a few beautiful verses from the Bhagavad Gita. 8.5 and 8.6. In 8.5, Krishna talks about a specific principle. One who thinks of God at the time of death attains God. Basically, Krishna says, one who thinks of me attains me. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram. And then 8.6, Krishna generalizes the principle. Whatever state of being one thinks, one attains that in his next life. And that's natural. It's by the benevolent arrangement of God that whatever one thinks of at the moment of death, basically one cannot think of anything random at the moment of death. Whatever are one's deepest attachments throughout one's life, they surface up at the moment of death. And one thinks of that, and one goes on to that destination. See, somebody throughout life is too attached to eating flesh. And at the moment of death, desires to has a craving to have a lot of flesh. And then nature, under the supervision of God, basically by the ultimate desire of God, such a living entity moves on to a next destination where that desire can be fulfilled. And in what kind of bodies can such a desire be fulfilled? bodies like lion, tiger. So it's highly important what our state of consciousness is at the moment of death. Now, some people may try to tweak around the principle. I'll live my life, puri zindagi just maza karunga. And at the moment of death, I'll keep a gun on my head and shoot myself and chant the name of God. And then I get best of both the worlds, right? Acha deal hai. So somebody may think like that. Well, but it doesn't happen like that. Whatever our deepest attachment, they will surface at the moment of death. So the art of leaving from this world or the art of dying depends on the art of living. The art of leaving depends on the art of living. So how we live our lives does determine what our state of consciousness is at the moment of death. And that will take us to the next body. So yeah, Krishna says this, whatever one thinks at the moment of death, one attains that. And then we saw 3 verses from 15th chapter, 15.7, 8, 9. In these 3 verses, Krishna is explaining how one carries one's conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. If there's a fragrance being produced somewhere, naturally air carries it, right, to another spot. So similarly, in a similar fashion, whatever conception of life one has, what does conception of life mean? What is our idea about life? Zindagi ke saath kya karna hai? What do I do with this life? What is life meant for? What is the goal of life? That is conception of life. So based on the conception of life one has in his consciousness, one takes that conception of life to the next body, and that conception of life becomes like a template over which another body develops. So say somebody's conception of life is, hey, life is for partying, man. Then God, and under God, the whole nature that functions, offers to such a living entity another body where one can continue with those desires and inclinations. Now, however, we saw, we can conclude that we get our next body based on what we desire. But is desire the only factor, or is there another factor? Deserve, yes.
And karma.
Yeah. So deserve is the karma part. Okay, I may desire to become the president of America, but am I qualified? Yeah, I should also deserve it. Yes. So that deserve part is what is karma. So yes, it's a combination of desire and deserve that takes us to our next destination. So yeah. So then we saw the law of karma. Basically, it boils down to, in simple language, many people put it as what goes around comes around. Or as you sow, so shall you reap. So yeah, the law of karma. But why has this law been created in such a way? Is the law trying to teach us something? Does anyone recall whether the law is trying to teach us something? The law is trying to make us cosmic sensitivity training. Yes, the law is like a cosmic sensitivity training program. So what does sensitivity mean? A sensitive person is aware of others' pains also. Okay, if something like this happens to me, I feel pain. So similarly, if something like this is done to someone else, they also feel pain. A sensitive person understands others' joys and sorrows. So the laws of karma, they are training living entities to become sensitive. And not just you and me, or not just people in Boston, but all over the cosmos, living entities are all under the laws of karma in this material realm. The Atma is beyond karma. That's a higher level of understanding. We'll come to it later. But when the Atma is in the cycle of birth and death, having a subtle body over it and a gross body over it, over that subtle body, the laws of karma apply on the Atma. And what are the laws of karma trying to teach that living entity? caught up in gross and subtle body, they are trying to make him or her sensitive. Sensitive in what sense? Something like this. Hey, if something like this happens to you, do you like it? If some pain is given to you, like this kind of pain, suppose somebody inflicts one type of pain upon someone else by hurting them. The laws of karma may come back with a similar kind of pain to that person who originally hurt someone else. Then the laws of karma are, in one sense, asking a question to that person. When this happens to you, do you like it? No, I don't like it. Then don't do it to others also. And then if that same person had done rather than something good, the laws of karma will come back with a good reward, a corresponding reward. If something, and they are asking a question to him, okay, if something like this happens to you, do you like it? Yes, I like. Then continue doing good to others. Then gradually one improves. But again, just doing good karma is not the goal of life. Doing good karma brings one to the platform of which mode? Which of the three modes? Sattva, yeah. But as we saw, Sattva Guna is still not the goal of life. It is better than all others. It is like a smooth runway from where one can take off. But just staying on the runway is not good. The goal is to take off, to transcendence. So even through good karma, ultimately one has to come to a transcendental platform. And in that connection, we saw another term, akarma. We'll come to that in our recap. So this is a perfect law with perfect justice. We saw one case study of a family that was scheduled to go on a big, very grand journey of ship journey, but their son was bitten by a dog, and the whole family was quarantined. No, you cannot go. And that family, they were not rich actually. They were farmers. They had accumulated savings just for this tour, but they were stopped from going. So they, in the beginning, they cursed God. Why did you do this with us? But 5 days later, when they heard the news, oh, this ship has sunk. Which ship was it? The Titanic. And they thank God. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You saved us. Thank you. Thank that dog also who bit their son. So, yeah, laws of karma are intricate. We don't know what may happen with whom. If somebody is not meant to be in an accident, the laws of karma, nature will pull out that person. And if somebody is meant to be, even if they are away, they'll somehow come to that spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was Titanic. Then somebody may ask, oh, but then why don't we remember specific memories from our past lives? So it would be nice to have specific memories, right? Why I'm getting a reward or a penalty for something. To this, we saw that, well, past life memories could lead us to confused existence. This was one point. Then nature may take its time to deliver, administer the results of karma, like we saw in the Dhritarashtra story. Then, and we saw two similar points. If somebody is spiritually mature, they anyways don't need some specific memories. They'll anyways learn their lessons. And if somebody is spiritually immature, even if they have specific memories of why they are being rewarded or penalized, they'll not learn much from it. So anyways, it's a perfect arrangement. Whether we remember our specific memories from past lives or not, the law teaches us nice lessons. We saw two effects of karma. One is immediate consequences and second is tendencies. So suppose I decide to drink alcohol, there will be an immediate consequence. That night I may come and vomit. But then another thing that comes with that one act is the tendency to do it again and again. And what is a spiritualist more concerned about?
Tendencies.
Tendencies, yeah. The tendency to do it again and again. So spiritualist doesn't mind a one-time negative reaction. It's okay. But a spiritualist is more afraid of offending others again and again or committing acts that are not pleasing to God or displeasing to God again and again. So that's the mentality of a spiritualist. We saw three types of karma. karma in itself, the word can take multiple meanings in multiple contexts. So yeah, the high level word karma, that would be three. Now in the Gita, we saw three words that are defined in the Gita: karma, vikarma, and akarma. What is vikarma? Does someone remember?
It's a negative consequences of what we are.
Right. Basically, sinful acts or pap. Karma is punya, good deeds at material level, for which we get a material reward at a materially good reward. Good material deeds, they give us back good material rewards, not spiritual benefits. But spiritual benefits come from akarma. Akarma is beyond even good karma. It includes good deeds. Good deeds are anyways there, but it is a superset of good deeds. It is spiritual deeds. So, see, there's so philanthropy, if you see, in what category it may come, philanthropy, social service, this or this. Huh? Are you sure?
Karma.
Okay, yeah. Say donating clothes to poor people, you know. What do you think it may come under?
That is on the godly side. I think it is karma.
Karma, actually. Punya. It is punya karma. It gives us back materially good reward. But akarma would philanthropy that also gives message of God to others. And this philanthropy is a superset of this philanthropy. Philanthropy that only distributes food to poor people or clothes to poor people, it is good. But there's something higher than spiritual philanthropy. Spiritual philanthropy may do all of them in a spiritualized way. The food that is given will be prasad. So that is also included. Material philanthropy is also included in spiritual philanthropy, but much more. Besides food, even knowledge of Bhagavad Gita will be given. People will be taught to exit the cycle of birth and death altogether. So, spiritual philanthropy doesn't just solve temporary material problems. It's not a temporary solution, it's a permanent solution to all suffering. Spiritual philanthropy can reach out to rich people also. But material philanthropy only applies to poor people. It can only serve poor people. But spiritual philanthropy can serve rich people also. Because rich people are also in need of spiritual knowledge. So, yes. So, akarma is spiritual deeds. The chanting of God's holy names that we do. In what category do you think it comes? Is it just punya or is it
Karma.
akarma? Yeah, it is spiritual. It is beyond the three names. Punya is more or less on the sattvic. Pap is more like tamasic platform. Rajasic, tamasic. Okay. So, then what decides our destiny? Is it just karma or we have a free will as well? So, okay, no matter what situations we may be in right now because of the past karmas, but right now we have the power to make choices and we can shape our destiny right now. And among the best use of our free will is to connect with God. When we chant the names of God, it's gives such a powerful direction to our karmic journey. It's like, yeah, it can change our past karmas also. So, yes, chanting the names of God is the best form of using our free will, connecting with God in any way. And then, yeah, we have the ability to write our own autobiography. We can make choices in such a way that we can change the course of our destiny. And then we also saw, okay, fine, if all these laws of karma are there, suffering comes because of some bad karma done in the past, whereas good reward comes because of some good karma done in the past. Now, if somebody is suffering because of, philosophically, it may be because of past bad karma. How should we respond to that? Should we let that person keep suffering? Or anyways, it's karma. Or what should a spiritualist response be? We still go and help them. We don't become callous toward anybody's suffering. In the name of law of karma, we don't become heartless or hard-hearted. we don't become callous to others' suffering. We still go and help them. What is the best help we can do? Spiritual help. It's higher than material help. And material help may just be to for the benefit of the body or the mind. But spiritual health, it includes body, mind, and it goes to the level of the Atma. It benefits the Atma. Yes, no matter, even if others are suffering because of their own past bad deeds, we still reach out to them, try to help them. The best form of help we can do is connecting people with God, sharing the message of God with people. And it includes material philanthropy also. In the process, yeah, we distribute so much prasad also. And if somebody doesn't have proper clothes to wear, those needs are also taken care of, but much more than that. And this spiritual help it's all encompassing. It can reach out to rich people also. Whereas only material philanthropy, rich people will not be happy to accept it. Do you think I'm in need of food? Rich people have ego, right? They just don't easily accept help from anyone. But when spiritual help comes, yes, they need it. Spiritually, actually, even rich people are poor, if not connected with God. Whereas if somebody is connected with God, even if materially they are poor, they don't have so much wealth, actually within they are rich because they are connected with God. Krishna. We ended our last session here. Now we will go into some classic examples of the art of dying or the art of leaving from this world. And it is determined by the art of living. So, there was one great king in the past. His name was Bharat. In fact, recently, India, what happened? Is India anymore India? Bharat, yes. From whom? Where did this name Bharat come from? From this great king called Bharat. Because he was the ruler of the entire region, the whole country. Before him, the tract of land was known as Elavrite Varsha. Elavrite Varsha. Yeah.
Is this brother of Rama?
No, not the brother of Lord Ram. He's another king, Bharat. He came even before Lord Ram, Lakshman, Bharat. So, based on his name, the country, India, got the name Bharat. So, what a great king he was. He was total, although ruling so many tracts of land, he was so detached. At one stage in life, he left everything, he renounced everything to fully focus on God. And he handed over the kingdom to his children, his first son, who was capable of taking care of the kingdom. So he handed down the kingdom. And Hare Krishna, welcome. Is it your first time?
Yeah.
To the temple? Okay, welcome. Yeah. This is a course based on Bhagavad Gita. So yeah, feel free to sit. And later on, you may take prasad also upstairs. We have prasad. Feel at home. Are you new fall students? Yeah. Fall 2023. Okay, welcome. You may feel at home here. Home away from home. Okay, so now this is a classic example of the art of dying. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna just gives the general principle. This is a real case study. So this is a case study from the bygone ages. It's given in the scriptures, but it happened long time ago, even before Ramayana, before Lord Ram's appearance also. But we will see one modern Kali Yuga case study also. It's a really fascinating story. Both the stories are amazing. And they are not just stories, they are real life incidents. So King Bharat, he at one stage, he renounced everything. He handed down his kingdom to his first son, who was capable of taking care of it. And then he retired into the forest to fully focus on God. He had made so much tremendous progress. Whenever he would chant the names of God, he would ecstatically remember God, Krishna. There would be tears in his eyes. And yeah, he had reached a stage called Bhav, which is a very advanced stage in one spiritual journey. But he got distracted by one thing. What happened one day? There was a mother deer who was pregnant, almost about to give birth to a calf. What is a deer's child called? Calf? Calf is definitely for a cow, but even deer's baby is called calf, right? Does someone know what is a deer um, baby called? Calf, maybe. Okay, whatever. So that mother deer was pregnant and about to deliver a calf. But what happened? She had come to a flowing water body and she was drinking water from there. She heard the roar of a lion, very scary roar of a lion, and she got so scared. She tried jumping over that water body, and then she somehow crossed that water body. While jumping, she dropped her baby, who was almost on the verge of coming out. So that baby calf, baby deer came out, and the mother jumped and managed to cross that water body, but she died. She dropped dead because the fear took so much toll on her. The hearing that roar, plus she was in anxiety. She was just about to give birth, so that combined anxiety, she couldn't take it, and she died. This baby calf, very tender and helpless. It was being tossed by the waves of that flowing water body. It was small river sort of a thing, a river or a rivulet. And King Bharat, who was almost living like a sadhu there, he saw this baby deer. And King Bharat, out of compassion, he lifted that baby deer. And he took that baby deer. He tried looking for the mother, but couldn't find anyone. And neither did the mother come searching for the baby. So he took the baby to his ashram. Now, he was a very bold king. He could easily, even with his hands, he could fight with tigers and lions. So he was fearlessly living in the jungle. So anyways, he had his own hut where he was living, his ashram like setup, and he took the baby deer there and he started serving the deer, the baby cat, let's say cat from now on. So now, as the calf was growing, now King Bharat, he felt compassion for that calf. Okay, it doesn't have a mother. So let me become the mother, the father, the everything for this calf. So as the calf was growing, yeah, King Bharat Maharaj would bring grass, fresh green grass for the calf every day. Would caress the calf lovingly, fondle it, and he would sleep with the calf. Just like when sometimes parents while sleeping, they have their baby on their chest, right? And the baby is also comfortably lying on the chest of the parents. Similarly, King Bharat started treating the calf like his own baby. And what happened? Something unfortunate happened. He got distracted from his spiritual practices. He it was a good deed saving that calf, but he went overboard and he got so distracted that even while performing his spiritual practices, he would think of the calf. Oh, what is the calf doing? He got almost infatuated with that calf. Just like a boy may get infatuated with some young, beautiful girl, King Bharat got infatuated with this calf. And, so he would constantly think of the calf. He could hardly focus on his spiritual practices. Imagine he was such a powerful king, and he could renounce all the riches of his kingdom. So renounced he was, but yet before dying, he made this mistake. And now what happened? At one point, the calf grew up, but still, King Bharat, now there are so many animals in the forest. We can't take charge of every animal, saving every animal from tigers and lions. By nature's arrangement, things happen around. We can't go and start caring for any and every animal. So when the calf had grown up, a mature decision on part of King Bharat would have been to let it go on in its journey. But still, he became so attached. He kept the calf, somewhat became possessive about the calf. Hmm? And at one point, the calf, when it grew up into a adult deer, the deer went on in its journey, maybe searching for another romantic partner. Uh, like children leave their parents searching for a romantic partner. The deer left for its own journey. But King Bharat, what do you think would have happened to King Bharat? Was devastated. Oh, where is my baby? Where is my life? And he searched for the deer uh, everywhere. Where is he gone? He or she, whatever the gender may have been. I can't find him. Oh, my life is useless. Oh, did I offend the deer? Just like a broken-hearted lover may write poems and songs. तो लुट गए हम लुट गए whatever. Bollywood and all have songs, right? English songs, Hindi songs, pop songs. So just this kind of sentiments that are expressed, he began to express those kind of sentiments. And he even thought something like this: oh, this earth became fortunate because of this deer stepping on it. Actually, a mature person doesn't speak like this. A mature person thinks like this. The earth becomes fortunate when God incarnates in this world and steps and walks on this earth. Then the earth becomes fortunate. Not by the walking of any ordinary living entity, but under infatuation. Say a boy may be so infatuated with a girl, he may compose poems. Oh, the moon is so fortunate to be taking your darshan. Hmm? Uh, God also becomes fortunate when you visit the temple and he gets your darshan. Hmm? Somebody under infatuation may, under that madness of infatuation, may compose poetry like that. So King Bharat went into that kind of a state. So, and he died in that state. And now, here's the verse from Bhagavad Gita again to go back to the reference. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajat kante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tat bhava bhavita. 8th chapter, 6th verse. The translation is, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So, by this principle, what do you think would have been the next destination of King Bharat? Any guesses?
He became a deer.
He became a deer, yes. He was so attached to the body of the deer, naturally by nature's and by God's arrangement. Yeah, why just hanker for a deer? Become a deer. Get the body of a deer, and you can feel that body altogether. Be in that state. So he became a deer. However, one hope, there is a hope here. Spiritual progress done is never lost. So material pap and punya, they get exhausted when the reaction comes. But spiritual deeds or akarma, as we saw, they never get exhausted. They go on with us. So the spiritual progress he had made in his love toward God, it wasn't lost. So by God's merciful arrangement, he remembered his past life and he remembered the mistake he made. And in the body of that deer, he went on and he was so renounced from other deer. Other deer would be going around eating grass, going here, there for excursion, having romance with the opposite gender. The deer type of romance, whatever form of romance they have. Other deer were absorbed in the animal activities, but he was always very thoughtful. And at a ripe age, he drifted away from the crowd and left everyone, uh, even the mother, father, and he went toward the ashrams of great sages. He would just constantly hear spiritual sound vibrations. Unfortunately, in the body of the deer, one cannot chant the names of God. He wanted to, but somehow that body did not facilitate it. But he at least heard the names of God, the chanting of names of God, katha of God, mm, glories of God, and he would be around sages. So he took such a bold decision. As a deer, he somehow he was fortunate. And then when he left that body, he again was born as a human being. And but in this third life, his name was Jad Bharat. And in this life, he acted. Okay. Oh, I should have moved ahead in the slides, showing pictures. See, he's saving this deer. Then, what does this picture represent?
Second line.
No, no. He is getting
was-
distracted by the
distracted.
deer, and then he dies thinking of the deer. See, here he dies thinking of the deer, and in his next life, he becomes a deer. Okay, end of pictures of the story. So in his next life, he becomes a deer, and yeah, but then he's just waiting for his death, and he's waiting for a human form. So fortunate we are to have this human form. We can chant the names of God. Animals cannot do it. So why not take advantage of this opportunity? Hare Krishna. Please have prasad upstairs. And would you be interested to join any Gita sessions? We'll be starting new batches also. If you would like to. Sorry?
Every Saturday.
Okay,
We
okay.
can come from next Saturday, like continuously.
Yes, yes. Yeah, if you can come at around 12:30 to 1, there'll be nice lunch prasad, and then 1 to 2, there'll be a second. It's a new batch starting. It's on Saturdays as well as Sundays. And yeah, even now you can go upstairs, take some prasad.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Okay. So, yeah, then this he was born as Jad Bharat, and in this life he was very careful. He avoided all materialistic influences. He, in fact, acted like a fool in front of people, so that people would consider him a fool and not mix up with him too much. And he was actually he was superly intelligent compared to all other beings around. But he acted like a fool because acting cool in front of people wasn't his goal. He wanted to become cool in the eyes of God, not in the eyes of worldly people. So, from Jad Bharat's life, the story is there in Bhagavatam. Very important lesson for us. What is more important, to uh, impress people or to impress God?
Impress the God.
Yeah, to please God, impress God. That's much more important. It's the success of life, in fact. So, yes, he acted so carefully. And yeah, there's at one point, some thieves thought that he is like a man animal. So when some dacoits, gundas, they wanted to do some human sacrifice in front of Kali Mata. But that human has to be a very mad, dull human being, like almost like an animal. So they were looking for one such person. They had found one person, but that person escaped somehow. Then they were looking for another replacement. And they found Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat at that time was just guarding a field. And they caught Jad Bharat and they took him away. And he did not protest at all. He was so absorbed in God. And then they bathed him, made him wear some fresh clothes, put some tilak in their own tantric rites. Their, their mode of worship was very tamasic. And then one of the thieves, acting like a priest, he picked up a sword to chop off the head of Jad Bharat. They even put his head on They stationed him on one place and head separately, and one. But they put his head on one area where they could chop off his head. And they were fully ready to chop his head. He wasn't protesting at all, even the slightest bit. And seeing this, Kali Mata herself, she became enraged. How can these dirty, nasty beings offend a devotee of Krishna? Jad Bharat was a devotee of Krishna, Ram, Vishnu. He was a Vaishnava. Even as King Bharat, he was a devotee of Vishnu. He was a Vaishnava. So Kali Mata was enraged. How can these nasty rogues, though the rogues were her devotees, she did not see them as devotees. Ultimately, demigods are also pleased when living entities approach Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, Lord Ram. So, Kali Mata, she, she was so angry. Yeah, let me explain the principle first. So, demigods, they become happier when living entities approach Vishnu, Krishna, or Ram. And they are more happier with Vaishnavas than their own devotees. Lord Shiva himself makes a statement somewhere. The Vaishnavas are dearer to me than my own devotees. Why? Because most people approach demigods for some material benefits. But approaching Krishna, Vishnu, Ram makes one totally pure. We'll discuss these principles a little later. Right now, I just wanted to briefly mention. So Kali Mata, she became so angry. The deity became alive. She jumped off the altar. There was thunderous sound, as if there's universal cataclysm. She jumped off the altar and she snatched that sword which that thief was handling. He was almost about to chop off Jad Bharat's head. She snatched it. She chopped off his head, that rogue's head. Then one by one, Kali Mata chopped off the heads of all the other rogues. And then, Jad Bharat, all this while, and then finally, it said Kali Mata, she did pranams to Jad Bharat. She left. So, all this while, Jad Bharat, he was just, he was totally unperturbed by this. What made it possible? What was going on within? Was having a love affair within, a love affair with God, not some ordinary love affair of this world. So Jad Bharat was unperturbed totally. And after this life, he attained perfection. He went back to God, exited the cycle of birth and death. What happens when one exits the cycle of birth and death? One gives up the other type of body also. Which body? Subtle body. Yes. So, yeah, that's the story of the art of dying. So, there's one more story. So, can somebody read this one? Hare Krishna.
Great personalities are very careful about how they live in this world and how they live from this world.
Yeah.
Modern day student does.
So, great personalities, they are very careful about how they live in this world and how they even leave from this world. So, the art of living as well as the art of dying is important. Now, organizations may have a name, art of living and all that, but will they really teach the art of living that scriptures are teaching us? Not necessarily. So, just the name, the art of living, shouldn't mislead us. Yes, if something is aligned with Krishna's teachings in Bhagavad Gita, with the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we can call that the real art of living. So just some organization having some name like that need not necessarily mean it is this spiritual art of living. So, yes. Yes. Okay, yeah. We can move on to the TV. So there's one modern day story also. In ISKCON, in 1970s, at the time of Prabhupada, um, Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, he started ISKCON in 1966 and he left this world in 1977. And in these 11 short years, what a magic, what a miracle Prabhupada did. Traveled all over the globe 14 times at such an advanced age. He was 70 when he came to the US in 1965. In 66, he started ISKCON. And in 77, when he left the world, he was 81 years old by that time. So Prabhupada, at the time of Prabhupada, what a miracle he did. So many temples he established all over the world. In the Western country, no saint in the past had ventured like this. So risking his own life, he, out of compassion, he shared this message with the entire world. So in one place, in Scotland or England area, there was one young British boy, a European boy, who took to Krishna consciousness, started coming to the ISKCON temple, and he his legal name I don't know. So the the article that is written about this incident may reveal the real name, but I don't remember. But when he came to ISKCON, took vows, he was given an initiated name, a spiritual name, Raghav Das, Das of Lord Ram. So Raghav Das, yeah. Okay, I'll turn this toward me so that I can see it. So Raghav Das, he started coming to the ISKCON temple, took vows, and then there was one Indian girl who used to come to that temple. Indian bodied, but settled there. Maybe her parents may have come there, whatever. And Raghav Das somehow got attracted to her. And then, nobody knows what his inner life was like. He used to come to the temple regularly, but his eyes were on that girl. So then Raghav Das, he at one point, he met with an accident. He was very young, 20 years old or something. He met with an accident and somehow, unfortunately, he passed away. Couldn't survive that accident. Okay, now a few years down the line, what happened? One young lady, Indian bodied, but settled in that area, Europe area. She was born there, but to parents who had settled there from India, who had moved from India. Just like Indian kids, we call them ABCD. Kids born to parents who had moved here. So like similarly, in Europe region, one Indian girl, but was born there to Indian parents. So when she was young, she started getting some repeated dreams. She being another person and very strong memories and same pattern of dreams repeated again and again. And she saw certain places, same people coming in her dream again and again. And then she began to feel maybe there's some connection with past life. So she went to those places, somehow found out, did some research, went to those places. And then she remembered she could strongly identify with some male, European male in the past life, as if she was that male. So then she went around asking questions, interviewing so many people. Oh, was there such a person? And in her dreams, she remembered being called by some name, and Raghav Das. So she went around asking people. And then people who lived from many years ago, who are now older generation, they recalled, oh yes, there was some Raghav Das. And he used to come to the temple, but unfortunately he met with an accident. And he as far as we know, he used to like some girl and all that. And then, yeah, this young girl, she could recall, oh, I'm seeing some other girl also in that dream. And then she asked some details about who is that girl who Raghav Das used to like. And then somehow she got found out details about this girl, and she got the address, and that girl had probably gone back to India or somewhere, wherever she was. This young lady, Raghav Das reborn, basically, went to search out that girl who Raghav Das used to like. And then this young girl actually landed up in that address, and knocked at the door. And one somewhat elderly lady opened the door. That elderly lady was that young lady from the past who Raghav Das used to like. So that elderly lady opened the door. And this young lady now, Raghav Das reborn, was surprised. They had similar facial features. Eyes, shape, and facial features were quite similar. What is this indicative of? What state Raghav Das may have left his body in? Thinking about that girl. This is a documented story. Nobody has cooked it up. So, yes, this is the art of dying. Not the art of dying. This is the principle of leaving the body. Whatever we think of at the moment of death, we attain that. Then what is the art of dying? An intelligent person takes to thinking of God at the moment of death. Then one surely exits the cycle of birth and death. And to be able to think of God at the moment of death, what we need to do during our life? Yes, we chant the names of God. We live a God-centered life. It's not that we have to become monks necessarily. One can be a family man. Just like whatever type of life one would have led if one wasn't practicing a spiritual way of life, one can lead that life. One can do a job. One can maintain a family, have wife, kids. But let's keep God at the center. Yeah, for this, we have to cut down on some unnecessary things in life. Is it really required to watch every Friday night new release movie show? Doesn't help us in any way. Is it really required to go to this place, this party, that party? Can we not replace it with spiritual activities? We will become fortunate if we do that. So yes, that's the art of living, which will assist us in our art of dying. So that was the story of Raghav Das. Now, yeah, recently, just last year, one lady in ISKCON, Nayan Sundari Matari, that was her spiritual name. Legal name was, I think, Nisha or someone. She left her body in a hospital and in a very glorious way. So the principle is thinking of God at the moment of death, being surrounded with God conscious vibrations at the moment of death. So when she was leaving her body, it was painful for her husband, for her kids. I personally know her husband, Divya Tirth Prabhu, very good friend. We are good friends. So, yeah, when she was leaving her body, it was a glorious departure. Her guru, Radhanath Swami, he came on a Zoom call and he spoke words of encouragement. Radhanath Swami is a great, great saint, a pure devotee, a lover of God. So when we are surrounded by devotees, and especially when a great devotee comes who is a perfect being, it means glorious. It means it's a glorious departure. And so many devotees were surrounding her, chanting Hare Krishna, doing kirtan. And in that state, I had also joined that Zoom call. I watched the whole thing. Finally, her movements became slower, and then she left her body. She was on a bed in a hospital. So yeah, it was a glorious departure. This is the art of dying. And yeah, she lived a God-centered life. She could die in a God-centered consciousness. So now, considering this grand scheme of things, whatever daily level of challenges we may face, say some ego problem with our roommate, or if somebody is married with their spouse, considering this grand multi-life perspective, these small problems of life start appearing puny and insignificant, isn't it? So let's broaden our perspective. Take this multi-life perspective and live for the benefit of the Atma. Uh, I recently heard in one lecture of one great saint, Radha Govind Swami. He is a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So he was saying, in this world, we can see these two opposite approaches. So most people who lead materialistic ways of life, for them, they are willing to put the Atma through torture and inconvenience for the benefit of the body. For the convenience of the body, they are willing to compromise the Atma. They are, for the convenience of the body, they are willing to put the Atma, the real self, through inconvenience. What is real inconvenience for the Atma? To stay away from the spiritual atmosphere. To be away from God is real inconvenience for the Atma. It's like a fish being taken out of water. This example is given by great sages and saints. If a fish is taken out of water, no matter what is offered to that fish, nice, beautiful female fish, or bhel puri, pani puri, cash, wealth, gold coins, no matter what is offered to that fish, if it is taken out of water, it cannot be happy outside water. It will rather die. So similarly, when the Atma is away from God, it is like being taken out of water. And when we make choices that keep us away from God, we are perpetuating that state of existence where we are like a fish being taken out of water. So putting for some bodily convenience to put the Atma through inconvenience, that's what most people do. But all of you are doing something glorious by coming here regularly. You are taking the opposite approach. And that's what great souls in the past have also done. And great souls in current times are also doing that. What is that approach? What is the opposite of what we just discussed? Yeah, but if you put it in terms of convenience, inconvenience, putting something through inconvenience for the convenience of the other. What is that? Can you put it slightly, reword that previous statement? The previous statement was putting the Atma through inconvenience for the convenience of the body, for the convenience of the lower self, putting the higher self through inconvenience. But what is a spiritualist approach?
Putting the lower senses for the benefit of the comfort of soul.
So taking on some bodily inconvenience for the convenience of the soul. Yes, sitting here, there may be some inconvenience. Going to a party may look more pleasing. Sitting in the temple, what is this pravachan? Boring. This may look inconvenient, right? Actually, it is joyful. For those who develop some taste for it, they'll not have any taste for parties and all. They'll have a taste for coming to the temple. But in the beginning, we may have some attachment to parties, this, that. Parties where boys, girls are dancing in disco with all types of songs going on, which keep the soul away from God. So, yeah, those kind of activities are putting the soul through inconvenience for some temporary convenience of the body. But here, what we do is putting for the convenience of the body, we may put our, for the convenience of the soul, we may put our body through some inconvenience. Actually, it's not a big inconvenience, right? We get such nice prasad also. What are we lacking? Actually, it's a life of fun, spiritual fun. So yes, it is worth doing this. So you have made such a wonderful, glorious choice by regularly coming here. Please, please don't ever leave the feet of Lord Krishna for some temporary promises of pleasure of this world. We end up doing ourselves harm. We may think there is happiness out there, but you can ask people who have experienced all the pleasures of this world. There are people who may have had affairs with multiple women and even bodily intercourse. But they reveal later on, they have revealed their hearts. No, there was no happiness in all of that. Yeah, many such people in the past, they indulged in all types of activities like drugs, alcohol, multiple sexual partners. But later on, externally, it looks like fun. But these people, they were internally, the real person, the Atma was crying out for real happiness. On the sensual platform, they could not find any happiness. But later on, they somehow came in contact with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. ISKCON distributes Bhagavad Gita and Vedic literatures at such a large scale. Until date, ISKCON has distributed more than 50 crore Bhagavad Gitas all over the world. Can you imagine? Such a huge number it is. More than 50 crore. Vedic literatures in general have been distributed. Bhagavad Gita and our other Vedic literature. Gita being the prominent one. So, yeah. So, when by such activities, many people's lives get transformed. And even though some people may have a sinful background in the past, when they start practicing Krishna consciousness, they start leading pure lives. Many of them have revealed their hearts. There was no happiness out there. All this drugs, alcohol, multiple sexual affairs. There was no happiness in all of that. They have revealed their hearts. So yes, now our legs may be in some inconvenience. So now, yes. Let me post.
One of my friends have joined.
Sorry?
Today, one of my friends have joined.
Oh, is it?
Karthik. He is a different guy.
Okay, okay. I don't see Karthik here. We have Madhav Prabhu, Tarun Prabhu.
He left the room.
Okay.
He joined the call.
Oh, I see. Yeah. By the way, feel free to just stand and stretch your legs here, even if you want to use the restroom. In fact, let's take a quick break and come back in maybe 2-3 minutes. Okay. Yeah. And then we'll continue for another 15-20 minutes. Okay. We'll be back.
No.
Hare Krishna, Tarunji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is my first class, so I'm just trying to take more right now today.
Oh,
But yeah, yeah. Like just to ask this, Prabhu, like we speak about giving up our materialistic happiness for our spiritual happiness, but sometimes we might go back to our materialistic happiness, like once in a while. how like is that it is a continuous process, right? Sometimes we go back to materialistic happiness just once in a while. Is that how wrong is that, or is it like okay, you're improving from before? Is that right?
Hmm.
Because I obviously like I'm not perfect. I agree, so I'm going to make mistakes through the process of it. So yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Like, what are the thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, actually. Thank you for asking that. So, Tarun Prabhu's question is, uh, yeah, we are on the spiritual path now. We for our spiritual benefit, we do cut down on material pleasures, but sometimes still our minds may get attracted to material pleasures and we may slip into material pleasures. So, yeah, what does that mean? So, will it, Hare Krishna. Yeah, nice to see you. So, will it hamper us permanently, or will it just disqualify us in any way? Yeah, it's a quite a legitimate question. So yes, this analogy can be given. Suppose our material activities or materialistic activities, they are compared to a running fan, a fast running fan. When we start walking this spiritual journey, it's like turning off that fan. And when a fan is turned off, what happens? It still continues running for some more time. But the momentum is reducing. It is stopping gradually. So similarly, when we take to the spiritual path of Krishna consciousness, we have, in one sense, switched it off. Switched off the fan of our material activities. But however, the intensity with which we practice spirituality, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that will determine how fast that fan will stop. So if we practice the teachings of Bhagavad Gita with greater intensity, what do you think will happen? The fan will stop faster or slower? Faster. But if we practice with some dhila dhala intensity, some loose intensity, not so serious, just coasting along, what do you think will happen? The fan will stop faster or slower? Slower, yeah. And that slowness could span over multiple lifetimes. The stopping of that fan could span over multiple lifetimes also. However, if we still sometimes get attracted to material pleasures and we slip into them, of course, we need not berate ourselves, beat ourselves up, become totally despondent and depressed. I'm good for nothing. We need not lose hopes. We can still rise up. And yeah, guilt is there to serve a purpose, to stop us from a wrongdoing. Guilt should not stop us from going closer to God. But sometimes people under depression, when they do wrong and they feel so much guilt, they think, oh, let me just go away from God. Then I can get rid of this guilt. So here, guilt has ended up playing a wrong role. So guilt has been applied in a wrong way here. So guilt should rather take us closer to God and help us not commit ungodly activities. So yes, even if we slip into some material pleasures, it's okay. Like we saw in King Bharat's case, yeah, he started off with a good intention to help that calf, but later on he got distracted. But still, the hope is never lost. We can take it up, and some regret has to be there when we end up slipping into some materialistic activity. When that regret comes, it is actually to be used to make spiritual progress. And uh, one thing we can avoid doing is to start justifying our fall downs. So when we have such slips into when we end up committing such mistakes, if we try justifying them later, oh, no, whatever I did was good, then we go backward in our spiritual journey. So, but when we don't justify it, when we sincerely repent, yeah, we don't, in no way have we gone off track. We can easily come back on the track. Very nice question, Tarun Prabhu. Thank you for
Tendency,
asking.
we have to care about the tendency, not the
Yes, yes, yeah. We care about not repeating those acts again and again. Okay. So now, today's session, we will end with 2-3 more examples. But yes, Amar Prabhu has a question. Yeah, please.
Whatever you told, that makes my question. Why is someone trying to go out of this birth and death cycle?
Hmm.
Why do we think that we should be in this?
Okay, okay, yeah. Wonderful point. Yeah.
Here, if you have opportunity now to become human, then why are we thinking of leaving this?
Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's a good question. So, being in the cycle of birth and death is not fun. Birth is a painful process for the embryo. Death, anytime we die, it's a painful thing. It's not fun. And all of this cycle of birth and death itself is very unnatural for the Atma, for the soul. The Atma is not meant to be here. This material realm is not the real home of the Atma. It's like the Atma. So yeah. Oh, by the way, online, if somebody did not hear the question, Amar Prabhu asked a nice question. Why at all try to leave this cycle of birth and death? If in this life we are fortunate, we have received a nice birth and some nice facilities in life, then yeah, why even bother about leaving this cycle of birth and death? So yeah, naturally someone may have this question. So the answer to that is, for us, the Atma, all this is being in a material body is not fun. Becoming old is not fun. It's a very painful process actually. So, but why at all did we enter this cycle of birth and death? That will be answered later on. So yeah, when we get an answer to that question, why at all did we come to this material realm? Why did the fish come out of water in the first place? Right now, we are like a fish out of water. We are in an artificial setup. This is not natural to us. And sometimes things may go well in life, and we may think, oh, everything is nice. But no, for the most part of life, this body itself, it troubles us for the most part of life. Old age is so troublesome.
Disease.
Old age, disease, death, none of these are fun. So the cycle of birth and death is associated with inherent miseries. And yeah, the soul, it's an unnatural thing for the soul to be in this cycle of birth and death. We all want to, even in this life, we would like to be permanent, right? We would like to live eternally, permanently. There was one one big rich businessman who paid millions of dollars to some researchers to do research and somehow keep him alive. Even if he dies, bring him back to life. So I think it was Walt Disney. So he paid, at that time, he paid $10 million to some researchers to preserve his body. And he paid additional 10 million or something, do research and come up with some ways to bring me back to life when I die. And yeah, come up with something because he wanted to live permanently. So all living entities have that desire to live permanently. But the material body does not allow that. We are living in a mortal coil that surely has to fall down one day. It has to break down one day. And it's not fun when it breaks down. So this cycle of birth and death, it's not fun. It cannot award us any happiness. The oceanic happiness we are looking for is not available in this cycle of birth and death. There may be some tiny drops of happiness we may get, sometimes some puny, titillating happiness we may get. But yeah, it's not substantial. But the happiness on the spiritual platform is oceanic and never ending. And we are all happiness seeking beings. That was our first session. So yeah, Krishna is pointing us toward a place where there is unending happiness available. It's not just some fairy tale. And Krishna has given us practical means to reach that realm. And that's the original home of the Atma. Some of these things will be clearer in the future sessions. Okay. Yeah, nice question.
Question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Karma, we do good karma, karma.
Hmm.
There's consequences, tendency. So we do anything, there will be some consequence. But then that cycle will continue. Even if we are doing good karma, we'll get good. And it will continue.
Yes.
Like something we do, it will have a consequence. When do we get out of that?
Yeah, very nice question. So Rajat Prabhu is asking if whether we do good karma, bad karma, it yeah, we still stay in the cycle of action, reaction. Even for good karmas that are done, we have to be reborn to to experience the result of that good karma. So yes, the solution to that is akarma. Akarma cancels out both good as well as bad karma. So yes, pap and punya do not cancel each other. We had discussed in the last session. For both pap as well as punya, one gets separate reward and reaction. But akarma, that is spiritual activity, it can nullify both. So akarma is activities on the devotional platform. Activities done to come closer to God, like among them the most important one being with devotees and chanting the names of God. Srila Prabhupada gave us this wonderful A, B, C, D, E formula. A for association. We associate with devotees who are also practicing the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. B for books, not any ordinary books like magazines and all, but spiritual literature like the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. C for chanting. When we chant the holy names of God, we do ourselves such a big favor. It's a simple activity, but we are spiritually becoming very rich by doing that. We are earning real spiritual wealth when we do that. And D for D can be seen in two ways: diet, as in prasad, having food offered to God, and D can also mean deity, the deity form of God we worship in the temple. So the altar will open soon. So yeah, when we take darshan of the Lord, basically deity, serving the deities, and E is engaging in some service. So yes, A, B, C, D, E, all these constitute a karma that can help the Atma exit the cycle of birth and death. So yes, yeah, a karma can nullify both pap and punya. But pap and punya don't cancel each other. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on with our slides and Okay, now. So we are lagging behind by almost one session now. We couldn't stay on track with the topics. But now we'll at least complete our discussion on the art of dying and then next session we will come to the inverted banyan tree and we will answer questions like, where is my home? Where did the Atma come from? Why basically we caught up in this cycle of birth and death. So that will come in the next session. Okay, so yeah, now, okay, here's one picture you can observe. Now, what do you see in this picture? There's anything you can get out of it.
Old man is reflecting on his youth by looking at him. Children sitting in
Okay,
the ground.
yeah. So Lokesh Prabhu says there's an old man sitting and he is watching children play. And what could he be thinking about?
His child young days.
Maybe he is reminded of his young days. Okay, and what else?
And he's happy that young children are playing in the ground today
Hmm.
instead of sitting on the phone and videos.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe we could also be judging like how they are feeling. He's happy.
Okay, yeah, maybe he might be the referee. Hmm? Okay, anyways, yeah, what else?
No, maybe he's thinking about Dela Sudkamod.
He's thinking.
Dela Sudkamod.
Yeah, maybe he's going into the future. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, there are many possibilities, but one possibility is he is reminded of his own youth and he is probably thinking, oh, if only I could become young again and start playing again. So, if only, kash, in Hindi, we have this word, no, kash. In English, it translates into if only. So maybe this old man, one possibility is he is thinking, if only I could become young again and play like these young boys. Now, nature has an interesting way of fulfilling this desire. And what is that?
Cosmetic trend.
Okay. Anyone else? How can he become young again and start playing like them again? Yes, next life, yeah. So he has that desire and nature has an interesting way to fulfill that desire through next life. So now, the kind of desires we cultivate, they form the seeds of our next life. They sow the seeds for our next birth. So a spiritualist is very careful about what kind of desires he or she has. And many of our desires are if only type of desires. Can you name some sample if only type of desires we may have? If only I had purchased stocks when they were at the dip. And if only I had sold them when they were at the peak. This is one type of if only. What other if only desires could we have?
Regret.
If only I had cracked that exam.
Instead of taking this job offer, I could have taken that.
Yeah.
Something
right.
like
Or somebody frustrated with their spouse may think, if only I could. So yeah, so many type of if only desires one may have. Now, what do these if only desires do? They sow the seeds for next birth. So we may see our if only desires are as innocent or harmless, but no, they are not innocent or harmless. They could keep us trapped in this cycle of birth and death. So, what are the best kind of if only desires we could have. That will rather spiritual desires if we cultivate. If we now each one of us may have if only and fill in the blank with your own whatever. Abhilasha, that may be there. Desire, that may be there. So, but if our if only desires, kash aisa hua hota. If only things had turned out that way. If they are more related to this material realm of matter, then how does nature facilitate those if only desires? Through another birth. Okay, in this birth you could not get it fulfilled. We can give you another chance. But then for the Atma, for the soul, it's not beneficial to take birth again and again just for some puny, for the fulfillment of some puny desires. The best thing for the Atma is to attain God, go back to God. So, a spiritualist, what kind of if only desires are beneficial for a spiritualist? Any guesses? Feel free to answer and give out whatever guesses come to your mind.
Only I could exit cycle. But
Cycle of birth and death.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that is like the long term thing. But even right now with our lives, what kind of if only desires could we cultivate? If only desires are usually about the past. Oh, if only I could go back in the past and change something, fix something. So, a spiritualist, what kind of if only type of desires could a spiritualist have? Yeah, if only I could have started chanting many years ago. If only I hadn't wasted time watching so many movies. If only I had started reading the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam from my childhood instead of wasting time watching movies. If only I had started chanting earlier in my childhood. If only I had met with saintly persons, with devotees in my childhood. When we cultivate these if only type of desires, and actually, yeah, I have come across many devotees within ISKCON who, with great, from the depth of their heart, they express these kind of desires. Oh, if only I had met devotees earlier. One great saint, Jayapataka Swami, he is a very saint of a great caliber. He's transformed so many thousands of people's lives. Recently, he's on a wheelchair. He's paralyzed. So recently, he was giving a talk, and it's difficult for him to speak. There has to be somebody who sits close by him, listen to him, and then speak out for everyone else to comprehend what he's saying. A well-trained person who can understand what he speaks. So anyways, Jayapataka Swami was recently asked a question. He gave a talk, a 1.5 hour talk. And in the end, another Swami, who is a dear friend of his, asked him a question. Maharaj, it was such an enlightening lecture, but we are also eager to hear from you. How are you doing? How is your health? Please give us some update about your personal life. Very lovingly, he asked him this question. And Jayapataka Swami responded. He gave out a big list of health problems he is going through. My liver is not working, my kidney, this, that. So many problems he listed. When we hear that, somebody could be terrified. Oh, I never want this list of problems. But Jayapataka Swami concluded like this, on this note. But I'm happy. I'm happy. My only regret is I wasted my first 18 years of life not being connected with Krishna, not being connected with Srila Prabhupada. He's an American. His name was Gordon. But later on, when he took to Krishna consciousness, came to ISKCON, met Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, he got initiated and he was given the name Jayapataka Swami. He has for more than 4 decades, 4 or 5 decades, he has just completely served Lord Krishna, spreading the message of Lord Krishna, travels worldwide, even with being paralyzed. But what is his if only desire? If only I had met Srila Prabhupada earlier, if only I had come in contact with the teachings of Bhagavad Gita earlier, if only I hadn't wasted the first 18 years of my life in some childish play. That is his if only desire. What a caliber of spiritualist he is. He has transformed the lives of thousands of people. So yes, a spiritualist cultivates these kind of if only desires. And the kind of if only desires we have, yeah, they can saturate our minds with what ambitions we have. Our if only desires are connected with our deepest ambitions, right? So yeah, they could form the basis of our next life. So if we want to attain spiritual perfection, then we cultivate spiritual if only desires. If only. Okay, can you try filling in some blanks with spiritual desires? If only, Surya Prabhu.
If I would have come for this content before,
Wonderful, yeah.
it's very common to just to know about this all of this.
If only I had come earlier. Yeah, wonderful. Tarun Prabhu, Madhav Prabhu, would you like to share some if only? Can you try filling in the blanks with some spiritual desires?
If only I would have started learning Gita earlier, I would have been able to attain more happiness until now.
Yeah, wow, wonderful. Yes. And please don't worry about repetition. You may even repeat what points others have said. Madhav Prabhu, what would you say as some if only desire? And fill in the blank with some spiritual desire. Oh, before we get to
I don't have any if only basically. I'm good.
Okay. And anyone else? What if only right now we may not have, but we can desire to cultivate those desires. It's so amazing, no? If we don't have spiritual desires right now, desire to desire them. Desire to cultivate those spiritual desires. So yeah.
While having aartis, we get into that sync, right? We enjoy that music, we enjoy the statement, right? So when we enjoy that music or the art, so I desire that I could have enjoyed this art.
Yeah. If only I had relished all the. Yes. If only I had.
Future decisions more better. It could make my mind healthier.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. If only I had more thoroughly participated in all the temple aartis and all forms of worship of God. Wonderful. That's a nice if only desire. Sir, there at the back, would you like to? You have been attentively listening. What's your name?
I'm Sharad.
Sharad. Okay.
Yes.
Is it your first time here at the temple?
Yeah, we just came for darshan and.
Okay. It'll open soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we just out of listening it.
Oh, okay. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to add any point?
Right now, I think so. Again, we haven't gone to that type of situation of spiritual and all, but definitely, we want to be there at certain time so that we can spend some time for God. I mean, I feel God is the hope. That's what I define the God.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, you have so nicely put it. Even though the desires are not there, you are desiring to desire.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yes. Okay. Anyone else, ma'am or Uh, Hare- okay, okay. Yes. Okay. So yeah, the kind of if only desires we have, they make a huge difference in a multi-life journey. They could determine what our next destination could be. So yeah, for material things, we need not have any regrets from the past. Like somebody may have, if only desire of this form, if only I had done more exercise in the past and had been more well built, or taller, or whatever. Well, it's okay. Whatever has happened has happened. If we take these material, if only desires too strong, too seriously, they could sow the seeds of next birth. Okay, fine. You have a desire to be a big bodybuilder. Okay, one more life. But then spiritually, that's not in the best interest of the soul, of the Atma. Okay, we'll end here. Okay, back to our verse from Bhagavad Gita 8.6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tat bhava bhavita. Could someone please read this translation? Surya Prabhu.
It's closed.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, yeah, we could read from here.
So probably the 8.6, like whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, or not simply that state he will attain without fear.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. So, okay, we'll end here. So we are lagging behind by one session. Our today's session was supposed to be the inverted banyan tree, which is based on 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This will give answers to why at all did we come into this cycle of birth and death. But yeah, now we are over time. We'll continue in the next session. Okay, darshan opens now. And then we'll have Q&A reflections. We'll go around, ask everyone some take-home message. Okay. Okay, until darshan opens. Okay, we'll go around, ask everyone any take-home messages, anything from today's session that stuck with you. By verbalizing it, it can go deeper. We can fortify our understanding. So we'll go around. Rajat Prabhu, do you want to start?
Yeah, so from today's session, it stuck with me was karma, and then it has the consequence of tendency. Like karmas, different types of karmas, and everything will have its consequences, and it will develop the tendencies. And we have the free will to make those decisions on those tendencies, and that will impact the like what next karma we do, and then the desire what we have at the time of death, and to build that desire is to add karma and a free will, which will develop that desire, which we will have at the time of death. So that, and then I like the ABCD, like it's very easy to remember, and if I want to talk about this to someone, it's very easy to explain it to someone like that. I noted it down.
Acronym is
ABCD.
wonderful. Does everyone remember that acronym ABCDE? A for Association of Saintly People who are also on this path. B for books. Which books? Magazines or sports magazines or yeah, spiritual books. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. They uplift the soul. Of course, for our studies, for our career, yeah, we may refer to other books, but too much knowledge it doesn't help us. Yeah, we take in knowledge of this world, which is required for our career and moving around in this world, but our deepest longings, hankerings are towards spiritual upliftment. So spiritual knowledge, it's the knowledge of who we are and what is meant to be done with life. So material knowledge shows us how to make a living, but spiritual knowledge shows us how to make life, how to make sense of life at all. What is this life about? In this vast cosmos with so many stars, planets, with we are in this tiny planet called Earth. What is all this about? Spiritual knowledge helps us make sense of it. So books, B for books, and they show us the purpose of life. C for chanting the names of God. We chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So regularly chanting the names of God. D for deity and diet. Yeah. So deity in the temple, that is a form of God. We don't use the word idol. Idol is a blasphemous word coined by other invaders of India who did not understand what this science of worship is. So idol is an inherently blasphemous word. We don't use that word idol. We use the word deity or vigraha. That's the Sanskrit word. In English, we use the word, we prefer to use deity. It's a respectful word. Idol is a disrespectful word. So yes, deity form of the Lord, where when great saints request God to come and live in this form, God, being omnipotent, can come and live in the deity form to accept loving services from devotees. So every day, 3-4 offerings are done with love to the beautiful deity forms of Radha Krishna. So yeah, service to the deities. So deity worship, basically, that is very purifying. And deities we can have at home also. So D for deity and one more D. What was it? Diet. What kind of diet? Prasad, yeah. Spiritual food. We anyways need to have food. Why not offer our food to God and have it? So that becomes prasad. And then E for engaging in some seva, some service to God, to devotees of God, some service that helps spread the message of God. Yes, ABCD formula. Yeah, now we'll move on to Lokesh Prabhu. Any reflections from
I'd
you?
like to reflect on the case study of King Bharata. I got engrossed in the modern car field
Yes.
and got diverted from his purpose of life, which he realized. And then eventually, yeah, then we got King saved him.
That was 2 lives later.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, but eventually, yeah, he was able to free himself the cycle of birth and death.
Yeah, he attained perfection. Yeah, he
Yeah.
attained love for God. Amar Prabhu, do you want?
Enjoying about the topic why we are existing and dividing karma.
Wonderful.
About the material that we got the aim of life.
Right, yeah.
By spiritual level, we can attain it. That's one.
Yeah. And we'll share recordings of past sessions also, and that will make it clearer. We have discussed about the cycle of birth and death.
In summary.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Very much.
Yes, definitely. And Surya Prabhu.
Yes. So the last few sessions, like modes of life, karma, And then about the king buyer, so his affection towards the bear, and he was distracted towards the bear, kind of love story there. So what happened is he lost his life and gave birth as a bear in the next life. Similarly, the old man, he's also watching the students were playing.
Hmm.
He's also longing to become a young person, and he got birth again in the instant. He will give birth to live a life like that. We learned about the cycles of growth and death and how to come out from that. Karma, vikarma, akarma. So the differences like karma is like punya, akarma is like vikarma is like power, and akarma is like spiritual things to come out from those things.
1 second. Hare Krishna, are you about to leave? Please take some prasad
Yeah,
before you
sure.
leave. We have prasad upstairs. Do you know where it is? If we go upstairs, it's the immediate room. As soon as you, maybe could somebody who has already. Yeah. Please take. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mataji will show you. Correct. So, yeah. Please.
So it's like the differences between the karma and vikarma, and about power, punya, and the doing some spiritual things. It differences. So the final thing is like what we are wanted to become is like we'll get birth again in our next life as
Hmm.
what we want. So it is what happening in our death life, birth and death life cycle.
Yes.
So how to come out from that.
Right. Yeah.
So like we learned about ABCD, so what else we have to do in order to come out from this birth death life cycle? We can.
Yeah.
have the
ABCD is such a wonderful formula.
So those are the
Wonderful. Thank you for nicely summarizing it. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
I think
Or before that, shall we take from Tarun Prabhu? Tarun Prabhu, would
Yes, yes.
you like to?
Yeah. So, like, that point stuck with me. It's like, in the grand scheme of things, our materialistic problems and happiness are very small, and it's almost like they don't matter in the grand scheme of things of birth, rebirth, life, death, and all of that. So we trying to attain. I forgot the term like this. I don't know Sanskrit, but the term you said, sattva.
Shuddha Sattva.
Shuddha Sattva. Yeah, Shuddha Sattva. We're trying to attain Shuddha Sattva should be our desire. And having desire is not bad, but having a right desire is what we want in life. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, very wonderfully put. That distinguishes our path from some paths that talk about just becoming desireless or
Mhm.
just annihilating one's existence completely. So, yeah, wonderfully put. Yeah, any other points you were sharing?
No. That's it. That's what I could remember in the center.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Madhav Prabhu is probably not here. Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So for today's topic, to summarize today's topic, it is extended session of the art of living, art of dying, right? So two things that we have discussed. Part of dying, what I understood is like we have to be spiritual first of all. In any case, we have to be spiritual. And while dying, whatever the desired state that we have been thinking, we'll get the next life, we get into that form. The use cases that we have seen Raghavdas and
Bharat Maharaj.
Bharat Maharaj.
By the way, one detail I just remembered. Jad Bharat, 2 lifetimes later. Bharat Maharaj was life 1, then Deer, then Jad Bharat. And for Jad Bharat, we described the story of how he some rogues tried to kill him, but he was just so fearless. internally he was so connected with God, with Krishna, was having a love affair internally with God. So, yeah, he was totally fearless. And Kali Mata herself came, saved him, and she was happy to offer this service to him. And can you imagine? She killed her own devotees for Jad Bharat. Because demigods also know, those who approach demigods, they approach with material desires. But those who approach Vishnu, Krishna, or Ram, their desires themselves become purified. So, yeah, because Vishnu, Krishna, Ram, they are the master of all demigods. It's the same Lord in different forms. So, Kali Mata, she was so happy. She felt privileged to serve a Vaishnava. And later on, now Jad Bharat's life continues. He is wandering somewhere, and one king called Rahugan, he was on a palanquin being taken by 4 of his palanquin carriers. And King Rahugan was going for a spirit, he was going to some sages, hermitages, to gain spiritual wisdom. He was a pious king. But then one of the palanquin carriers became injured, and they had to recruit a new man. So 3 of them, 3 of the remaining ones, palanquin carriers, they saw Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat looked strong and stout, and he looked like a dull man, lazy man, not doing much work. But internally, he was very self-realized. So they forcibly recruited him. Hey, come, help us carry him. Chalo, help us carry the king. He is our king. So they forcefully recruited him. And yeah, Jad Bharat, okay, fine. Yeah, happily he was carrying. And then, but in between, he kept stopping because he saw some ants walking. And then he did not want to step on ants. He saw ants also as, yeah, parts of God. And yeah, why should they be killed just like that unnecessarily? So he wasn't stepping on them. So he was stopping whenever he saw ants crawling. And then this led to some jerks. So when all 4 are carrying and moving at the same speed, it moves smoothly. But when one of them stops, yeah, the whole palanquin shakes a little, right? So this disturbed the king, and he first he shouted out to everyone, "Why are you not carrying it properly?" Then all the other 3, out of fear for the king, they complained, "Oh Lord, it's not us. Please know that this newly recruited man, he is doing this." And then the king spoke to Jad Bharat. First, he tauntingly said a little, "Oh, looks like you must be hungry. You have been carrying for so long. You must be so tired." No? So, in a taunting way, he spoke. Actually, what he meant to say is, you have just joined and you have more energy than them. Why are you acting like this? So, first, he just taunted. And then Jad Bharat heard and he continued in the same way. Because Jad Bharat saw from a spiritual vision. So he did not want to harm any ants. Then second time when it kept happening again, now this time the king very angrily spoke to him. "You fool, don't you know I am your master? I can punish you. Are you a dead person despite the life in your body? Why are you acting like a dead man?" He spoke very harshly. And then Jad Bharat, just in 4 or 5 verses, Sanskrit, they are there in the scripture, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He, in a very intelligent way, he answered the king in such a way that first he said yes to whatever the king said. "Oh yes, king, when you said this, you are right." But then on top of that, he gave an explanation which had a very deep spiritual meaning, and it countered the points of the king. It's a very intelligent way of arguing with somebody. When somebody makes some point, we begin with a yes. "Oh yes, you are right. But," and then when we, so something like this. There's a joke. Once a couple, husband and wife, they were passing by from some rickshaw they were going. They saw some donkeys, some asses grazing grass. And the man commented to his wife, "See, your relatives." And the wife responded, "Oh, yes, they are my relatives, but they are my in-laws." That's an intelligent way of responding, right? "Oh, yes, you are right. But," and then comes a witty statement. So similarly, yeah, Jad Bharat responded, "Oh, yes, king, you are right. But," and then he spoke such great spiritual wisdom. After he spoke just a few words, the king came down immediately. And after speaking some spiritual wisdom for just a few brief sentences he spoke, the king realized, oh, here's a great saint actually. And the king was anyways on his way to hear some spiritual discourses. So he was a pious king. So he realized, oh, I offended a great saint. I thought he's just some dull man. And so then Jad Bharat, after speaking those few sentences, he again said to the palanquin carriers, "Chalo, chalo, let's continue." He was happy to continue. "Okay, come on, let's continue." He was about to, they were all about to continue, but the king said, "No, no, stop, stop." The king came down. He fell flat before Jad Bharat. "Oh, great saint, please forgive me. I have offended you. Who are you? Are you Lord Kapila himself? Or are you the four, one of the great four Kumars, Sanat Kumar? Or are you that great personality? Who are you? Please tell me. And why are you wandering like this, like a dullard?" See, with great humility, he asked questions to Jad Bharat. And one thing worth noticing here, we can learn an important lesson in dealings from this activity, this act of feel free to stand, by the way. Your legs are hurting. So, yeah. He asked, this king, he did not worry about what these other three palanquin carriers will think. Oh, maybe they'll think low of me. Maybe they'll laugh at me, seeing me fall at the feet of this person. He wasn't worried about that. And therefore, he became worthy of receiving mercy. So one lesson we can learn here is when if we insult somebody or speak harshly to somebody, we naturally offend that person. And then when we go to ask for forgiveness from that person, if we have offended a person, if we have spoken harshly to a person in front of, say, 10 others, and if we go and beg for forgiveness when that person is alone, do you think it's a complete form of asking for forgiveness? No. That person will still, there'll be some lingering feelings in that person. Hey, you insulted me in front of 10 others, but you are begging for forgiveness just when we are alone. When that cycle becomes complete, that forgiveness becomes complete when you beg forgiveness in front of that same assembly. So be very careful when we need to be very careful when we speak or when we give a feedback to somebody, especially when in the presence of many others. To counteract that offense fully, we need to replicate that same audience and then beg for forgiveness. Here, King Rahugan, he insulted Jad Bharat in front of three other palanquin carriers, and he begged for forgiveness in front of all of them, and without considering, oh, what, I'm a king, how can I beg for forgiveness in front of my subjects? He put aside his ego and he fell flat in front of Jad Bharat. And therefore he became eligible to receive mercy from Jad Bharat. So, see, Bhagavatam is so full of sweet stories, and each story can teach us some lesson. So, what a lesson in dealings, isn't it? Even small children, if you see, if parents scold them in front of a larger audience, they feel offended. Imagine tiny kids. they take a greater offense when scolded in front of others as opposed to when scolded just alone. So yes, we need to be very careful of how we speak to somebody when there are others present. Because if we end up speaking harshly to somebody, that person feels insulted, and there are others who saw that whole scene, the whole tamasha. It's going to be very difficult to later on be forgiven by that person. So yeah, yes. In this instance, King Rahugan instantly, he did not wait that, oh, when Jad Bharat is alone, let me beg for forgiveness. He wasn't bothered about the other three. Let them laugh at me. But I'm going to fall at the feet of this great saint, Jad Bharat. He fell at the feet of Jad Bharat, and then Jad Bharat. It's a long conversation spanning multiple chapters in Bhagavatam. And at the end, actually, the king had asked for Jad Bharat's introduction in the beginning. Who are you? Are you the son of some great, great saint? Or are you some such great saint reincarnating? Or are you that? Or are you? Jad Bharat, he did not give his intro in the beginning. He gave his intro in the end. After giving all knowledge to him, he gave his intro in the end. And very nonchalantly, very casually, he introduced himself. Can you imagine? India has been renamed to Bharat now. And the word Bharat comes from this king Bharat. This king Bharat was reborn as Jad Bharat. And Jad Bharat remembers he was that king. And yet, very casually, he introduces himself. In the past, I was some king called Bharat. I used to be some king called Bharat. He had no attachment to that identity. People become so attached when something is named after them, right? Here, he has no attachment. He is attached to God. He has a much higher attachment. So, lower attachments did not bother him in any way. Very nonchalantly and in a casual way, he introduces himself at the end of giving all spiritual knowledge to King Rahugan. In the past, I also used to be some king called Bharat. That king, Bharat Maharaj was much greater a king than Rahugan. And yet, Jad Bharat is humbly presenting himself. What a lover of God he was. So yes, we can all follow that path. We can also become lovers of God. Yes, okay. Did we complete reflections from everyone? You also completed, right?
And we discussed about what we think and it will be sowing up the seeds for the next year. So we have to be cautious and careful what we are thinking and, in the spiritual way. So, and when we have offended or something is bad happened, how to take it further? So the fan example that we discussed.
Right, yeah.
These are some reflections in the same.
Wonderful. Did this last point we discussed about Jad, Bharat and Rahugan, did the example make sense about?
One thing I was not clear, what is great about because I know one thing is name as the India has given us, right? What is great about him?
Oh, he was a king of the entire land of India, now Bharat. That time Bharatvarsha was much bigger than the current one.
But there are so many kings who are ruled, right?
Oh, and he was a great devotee. He was so renounced and detached. So it's not just his power. What makes Hanumanji so great? Is it just his powers? His devotion. So yeah, similarly, King Bharat, not just his kinghood that made him great, his immense and indefatigable devotion that made him great. And the way he renounced his kingdom and everything connected with the kingdom. It is said just like one passes stool in the morning, after we clear our stomach, we don't bother, right? We are not attached to what we leave behind. oh, it's a part of my body. Even though it's a part of our body, we forget it. We move on. Similarly, he gave up his kingdom with such a detached spirit just to focus on God. But he ended up making one mistake. But then his spiritual progress was never lost. So yes, now let's chant just 10 mantras, but let's put in our heart. And I would humbly urge each one of you, please chant at least one round every single day. One round means 108. There's a mala, right, with 108 beats. So please make it a point to chant at least one round every day. That is a short way to spiritual perfection. So we will chant 10 mantras right now. And yeah. Let's close our eyes. First, we will chant the Panchatattva mantra, evoking the blessings of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and their associates. Then we'll chant Hare Krishna mantra in unison. Let's use our mouth to chant, and with our ears, let's try to attentively hear. Okay. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Now together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's keep our eyes closed for a few moments and continue chanting in our mind 3 times, and then we can slowly open our eyes. Okay, we'll end the recording as well as the Zoom session here. Thank you for joining us, Tarun, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Wonderful having you. Hare
Hare Krishna.